really might happen. And if it does, here's some of the facts. Servicemen and women won't get a paycheck until a deal is reached. National parks will shut down, and federal workers will get furloughed. So the political game isn't going to be much fun if Republicans and Democrats don't agree to disagree. Here's a closer look.
It's no secret that the Affordable Health Care Act is no friend of the Republican Party, and those on the far right continue attempts to kill the law. So they passed a budget which defunded the American Health Care Act, sent it over to the Democrat-controlled Senate, where Majority Leader Harry Reid called it dead on arrival. So the bill was returned to sender for revisions.
They will likely use a 50-vote margin to strip out that defund legislation that came from the House. That means they're going to send back to the House what they're calling a clean CR, something that would keep government open but not accomplish the goals that many Republicans had hoped.
Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz used a faux filibuster, reading from the text from the Dr. Seuss children's story Green Eggs and Ham, a story where the moral, ironically, is to try something before deciding you don't like it. That filibuster was rejected Friday by the Senate, who restored funding for the Affordable Health Care Act. Late Friday afternoon, the president took to the podium.
I'm willing to make a whole bunch of tough decisions, ones that may not be entirely welcomed by my own party. But we're not going to do this under the threat of blowing up the entire economy.
The president went on to say that he will not negotiate with Congress to authorize paying of the bills which they have already racked up, and he had sharp words regarding political strong-arming.
Nobody gets to threaten the full faith and credit of the United States just to extract political concessions.
We have a new guest joining us now, financial consultant, Paul Oster. He joins us, and thank you for being with us. Of course, we have Dr. Michael McCoy and Dee Dee Benke, former White House aide. Okay, Dee Dee, I'm going to just start this one off. Does President Obama have any friends in Washington right now?
Well, a few in his own party, but his party split too. It's a difficult time, and I have to tell you, isn't this Groundhog's Day? Haven't we been here before where it's like, oh, the government shutdown is looming? I'm kind of thinking maybe we should let it shut down, see what happens. Look what happened with sequester. Everybody thought, oh, it was doomsday, and you know what? It really wasn't necessarily bad. We ended up saving some money.
All right, Dr. McCoy, I want you to weigh in on this. 1995, last time we had a government shutdown. I think it was 21 days, something like that. What are your thoughts?
I think Dee Dee and I are really in agreement today that I just feel like, he was reading Green Eggs and Ham. I feel like, why don't you read The Boy Who Cried Wolf? It gets to a point where even when you were going through the package, this comes up so many times. Fine, go ahead, shut it down.
Go ahead.
Let's just see what happens, because you just feel like this is all political theater. No one wants to get anything done. Fine, shut down.
All right, now the man who talks money, we've got Paul Oster here right now. So talk a little bit about the money and what's going to happen if 12:01 Tuesday morning comes and we see a government shutdown.
Well, that's really the travesty. If you say, why not let it shut down and see where the cards fall, you're talking about hundreds of thousands, almost 1 million people will be out of a job or furloughed. Park system shut down, and some pretty, integral pieces of our government will be shut down. The Pentagon is one of them. So when you start to talk about the things that are affected by the shutdown,
well, the Pentagon's not going to be totally shut down.
It won't be.
Some parts.
It won't be. But does it any lessening of the power and support that we give to the Pentagon is not a good thing.
Well, I think when the men and women in our service start not receiving a paycheck.
Here's a great thing. They are required to continue to go to work every single day.
Yes.
They don't have an easy job, and they will not be paid. So the fact that we got here is, like you said, it's a bipartisan political grandstanding. You had the guy on the floor for days talking about a lot of nonsense. Probably could have summed it up.
Yeah, that's what a filibuster is. You're just trying to fill time.
It wasn't actually a filibuster.
Well, okay, that's right. That's true. It was a long speech.
It when you talk about
21-hour-long speech.
When you talk about putting the effort where it needed to be and spending time on things that needed to get done. The Senate passes the bill, they hand it back to the GOP. The GOP is going to come up with something today. They're going to amend it. For sure, it's either going to delay Obamacare or try and have it removed. The Senate is not going to accept that. And they only have tomorrow, Monday, to get through it. So by Monday night, they have to come up with something, or it's going to shut down. How long is it going to shut down? The entire government doesn't go away, but it will have an effect on every one of us for sure.
Well, this political bickering, though, I think a lot of the public, if you were to take a poll right now, and I don't have any poll numbers, but if you talk to the American people, I think they're just so tired of it. They're hearing about the mall attacks in Kenya. They've got their own worries at home,
Yep.
and I just think that they're tired of Republicans and Democrats not coming together right now.
Then maybe they get more involved in the political process because we
They vote for
elected
someone
these people.
else. That's right.
Exactly. We
That's how you
elected
do it.
these people, and whether you're a Democrat or Republican, this is nothing more than a power struggle within their own parties. I mean, the Republican Party is clearly divided amongst the Tea Party.
I want to talk about the winners and losers. Dr. McCoy?
Well, I think this really ties to what you said. I think for all the reasons that Paul said, I think this is why this feeling of let it shut down, because I think there are employees of our government, particularly our servicemen and women, who are actually doing real jobs. You have people in Washington who are just doing the same old game all the time.
Not doing their job.
Exactly. And so it's like, you know what, fine, shut it down, and then finally allow the American people to finally look at the incompetence that's going on in our Capitol and hold them accountable. Because they play these games and then do things at the last second, most people just tend not to pay attention. So who are the winners and the losers? The losers, I think the losers will always be the people in the Capitol, everybody. If they don't shut down, we'll just think they're incompetent and sort of childish. If it does shut down, we'll think they're even more incompetent and childish. And so, frankly, I want these people to be held accountable. Therefore, I say, you know what, let them mess up and finally be held accountable.
Okay, so the losers are the folks on the Capitol. Paul, winners, losers?
The losers are the American people, because what happens is this is also going to have an effect on the 8,000-pound gorilla, the debt ceiling that's sitting there. Somewhere in the middle of October, we're out of money. So we won't be able to pay our bills. And when that happens, the Treasury is going to be affected directly. Your credit card interest rates, my credit card interest rates, our mortgage interest rates, auto financing, all financing across the board. Not to mention the people are investors. You know, we run this country on foreign investment money. We have creditors that are going to say, wait a second, they can't pay their bills. Why would I want to lend them money? And if I do, it's going to be at a much higher interest rate.
All right, so Dr. McCoy says the losers are going to be the folks on Capitol Hill. You're saying the American people, and now, Dee Dee, it is your turn.
Well, I would say the American people if Obamacare goes through. So I think, what the Republicans are trying to do is stop Obamacare, or at least delay until it goes away. So that's what's going on here, obviously. So it's either going to shut down. Fine, I think that's a good thing, actually, because people need, you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. People need to see how bad it is right now, and we keep putting it off. They don't know. So let it shut down. Okay, and if it doesn't, okay, maybe we delay Obamacare for a year. That's a good thing. We want to delay it as long as possible because it's bad for Americans. Americans don't like Obamacare, but they also, polling show, they don't want to see the government shut down. So it's, it's a tough situation.
Are there any winners? Are there any winners in this?
China?
No.
I mean,
You might be right.
Again, I can't name an American winner. I'd have to look overseas to think of a winner. But in terms of delaying Obamacare, here's the irony of all this. There's a lot of parts of Obamacare that Obama wants to delay.
True.
That
True.
if there was actually concern on the Republican side for real compromise, they could sit down. The president has said
But some want to
there
do
are
that. They want to
things-
delay it for a year.
There are,
And that might be
and,
what
and
happens.
so you ask the question, why? And this is why this is all ridiculous. Where's the actual conflict? The president has said there are some. Now, for instance, things like having parents be able to take their kids on their insurance. They don't want to delay that. But there are a lot. We see labor unions asking for delays. We see people on Capitol Hill with their own employees wanting delays. There's so much area of compromise
if they want delays,
here.
They don't want it at all. That's the problem. Most people, and the polling shows, they don't want Obamacare.
Well,
they
if you
just
say
don't
the
want
word
it.
Obamacare, people don't like that. If
Well,
you start
yeah.
breaking down the elements of Obamacare, there's a lot of things people do want, which is why the president and a lot of the Democrats do want to fight on this, because they're saying, hey, there's so many things popular here that if implemented will actually work well for us going to 2014 elections. We'll take the good with the bad.
See, but that's what's happening. October 1st is a few days away, and everybody's freaking out, and then of course now the debt ceiling. So it's a historic time right now, and the government hasn't shut down for years. So we'll see what happens.
All right, let's talk about predictions now. Do you think, Dee Dee, we'll start with you. Do you think that we're going to see a shutdown come to Tuesday morning?
Well, I hope so, but I kind of think we might get the year delay. But I hope we shut down. Actually,
Is this all political theater?
We're going to shut down. Nobody's going to blink on this. It's an incredible, tense situation. You have Obama. This is his namesake piece of legislation. He is not leaving office without this going through at the expense of shutting the government down. So the Democrats are standing firm. The Republicans are split somewhat on what they want and where
But
they're
the
going.
Conservatives are standing firm. I don't think they're going anywhere. So
They're not going anywhere.
They probably will shut down.
They're going to, stay locked in this battle. They're going to let the government shut down. That's my feeling.
Are we going to see a shutdown?
We're going to see a shutdown.
Is this the worst political fighting that we've seen in years?
I think we're in crisis fatigue. I think we've been fighting since at least 2011 when the Republican Congress came in. I think everyone's so tired of fighting, they're going to let it shut down just because, like, I'm tired of negotiating, I'm tired of fighting, let's shut it down, and maybe that'll reset the scoreboard. So I think we're going to get shut down.
I have delay fatigue, don't you? I mean, let it shut down, see what happens.
I think there's so much
fatigue. It may be a way of getting things done.
It is going to be the American people that will be the losers in this. Certainly, I've got quite a few friends. I know, Dee Dee, you have a couple of friends down in D.C. They're all going to be furloughed, and this is a lot of money to a lot of people.
This is real. I mean, we're talking about this at right now. This is real for a lot of people, and that's why I think ultimately a shutdown will bring the reality home to everybody.
And we can't keep raising the debt ceiling. We're in so much debt now, we can't sustain it. So if that stops the debt and stops all the spending, so be it.
Well, we are going to see if there is going to be a reality show called The Government Shutdown come this week. All right, don't go away, everyone. The lightning round is next.